You're watching NBC5 News at 10.
We've been violated.
Who would do this? Chemotherapy drugs stolen from a North Texas porch.
It's something he needs to live.
Tonight, a good look at who took a critical $10,000 delivery.
Calls for justice for this Texas flight attendant after her work travels landed her behind bars for a month and a half.
Right now, a nasty storm system out west is headed towards North Texas. I'll tell you how much of your weekend could be stormy.
And she's barely old enough to drive, but she's on the road to success. The North Texas 16-year-old headed to law school. Developing right now, Special Counsel Robert Mueller's 22-month investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election is over, but the questions about what Mueller found are only just beginning. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Curtis.
And I'm Laura Harris. The report is now in the hands of the Justice Department, and tonight there are increased calls to make the confidential report public. Political reporter Julie Fine joins us live now in the studio with the very latest. Julie?
Well, let's begin with this. NBC News has learned there will be no new indictments, but it is unclear tonight how detailed this report is and when or even if the report may become public. There are strong calls tonight to make that happen. After almost 2 years, the long-awaited report from Special Counsel Robert Mueller is complete. It's now in the hands of Attorney General William Barr. In a letter, Barr told Congress, quote, "I may be in a position to advise you of the special counsel's principal conclusions as soon as the weekend, but no word on detail." 6 Democratic chairs are demanding that the Justice Department make the report public, as is the Senate Minority Leader.
The President himself has called without qualification for the report to be made public. There is no reason on God's green earth why Attorney General Barr should do any less.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said the White House had not seen the report, but the president talked about the investigation again before the report came out.
There was no collusion, there was no obstruction, everybody knows it. It's all a big hoax.
34 people have already been indicted in this investigation. 6 are associates of President Trump. But so far, those indictments do not allege coordination between Russia and the Trump campaign. This does not necessarily spell the end for some of the people around President Trump who have not been charged. Mueller farmed out investigative leads to other parts of the Justice Department, and New York prosecutors are investigating individuals in the Trump organization. Texas Senator John Cornyn tweeted tonight, Mueller's role was to conduct a criminal investigation. What will now follow is mainly political harassment, leading to perhaps a futile impeachment exercise. Brian and Laura?
All right, thank you, Julie. Stay with us. A lot of people are reacting to this tonight.
Yeah, especially here in North Texas. Tonight in Grapevine, a Democratic presidential candidate warned against any White House interference. And that's not all. California Senator Kamala Harris had to say at her rally. Our Scott Gordon joins us live from Grapevine tonight. Scott?
Well, Laura, Senator Harris drew her biggest applause of the night when someone asked her what sets her apart from all of the other Democratic hopefuls. And Harris, a former prosecutor, answered quickly.
I know and will know and do know how to prosecute the case against Donald Trump.
The California senator spoke just hours after the Mueller report went to the Justice Department. She said Attorney General Barr should be called to testify before Congress under oath and that the White House shouldn't interfere with the report's full release.
The American people have a right and a need to know the underlying evidence that supports that report should be made public.
We tried to talk to the senator on our way out, but she declined and was ushered out of the room. Reporting live in Grapevine, Scott Gordon, NBC5.
Thank you, Scott. Joining us now from Dallas is former federal prosecutor Paul Coggin. So, Paul, how much of this report do you think the public will eventually see?
At least not right away, and at least not without a court fight, because there's two sort of things blocking complete release, and one has to do with grand jury secrecy. Some of this was probably almost certainly gathered by the grand jury, and the second is a Justice Department rule against publicizing evidence against people who are not charged. So General Barr has to take both of those into account in terms of what he releases to the public.
And Paul, we know there are no more indictments coming from Robert Mueller, but could there be more indictments from other investigations?
Almost certainly. Because what Mueller was very adept at doing was, if it wasn't directly related to his core investigation, he spun out leads to certainly the Southern District of New York, the District of Columbia, the Eastern District of Virginia, and probably Florida as well. So I think there are a number of investigations ongoing that were spun out of the work that Mueller did.
All right. Thank you for your insight tonight, Paul Coggins, and thank you, Julie Fine, political reporter. Well, we want to know what you think. Should the full Mueller report be made public? Yes or no? You can vote at NBCDFW.com and on our Facebook page. Right now, 94% of you say yes, 6% say no. All new tonight at 10, a couple in Garland is hoping someone will recognize these men here after they say a chemotherapy drug worth nearly $10,000 was stolen from their front porch. Allie Spilliards has the story only on NBC5.
I was diagnosed in 2016 with renal cell carcinoma.
For Lewis Brown, battling cancer is part of a daily routine.
And this one is a little different. I have to take 3 capsules a day.
And for the most crucial of those pills, insurance requires direct delivery.
I get my chemotherapy medication delivered by mail.
It happens like clockwork every 2 weeks, which is why he grew suspicious when it wasn't there last Tuesday.
I was surprised. I thought maybe FedEx just didn't get around to it.
But the cameras posted around his front door revealed something else.
And he's just taking a look at the package.
First, one man came to the door.
He turned his back to the camera and looked at the package and seemed like he was pretending to write something down on his clipboard. And then he turned around and walked away.
But a second one didn't hesitate to snatch the box labeled from a pharmaceutical company.
We've been violated. To me, it's a violation, and it's his medication, and it's something he needs to live.
Costing nearly $10,000 every 2 weeks.
These drugs are worth a lot of money. I mean, you can't put a value on someone's life, but it's more than we could afford to pay if we had to pay out of pocket.
And though the insurance company quickly got a replacement in the mail, the Browns say they've already changed their habits, now requiring their signature for delivery. And they hope others will learn what they had to the hard way.
Even if it's not your chemo medication, it's your property that you've ordered or whatever, and it's just infuriating that people can just come up and take what's not theirs.
In Garland, Allie Spilliards, NBC5.
Garland police say whoever did this faces felony charges.
2 men are recovering tonight from gunshot wounds, one of them shot by a Dallas police officer. That shooting happened around 4:30 this afternoon at Lake Highlands Drive and Northwest Highway. Meredith Yeomans is at that intersection for us tonight with the new information she's learning. Meredith?
Yeah, Laura, this scene just cleared minutes ago. Police say the officer involved was off duty, but working an extra job doing neighborhood patrol when he drove up on a dramatic scene. As rush hour ramped up, Dallas police shut down this busy stretch of Northwest Highway to investigate.
I hear 3 shots. Pow, pow, pow.
Police say an off-duty officer in uniform just so happened to pull up as a man shot another man in front of this CVS. That officer, they say, got out of his squad car and ran across the parking lot.
The officer fired rounds at the shooter.
All of a sudden, 4 more. Pow, 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 pow.
Edwin Hartman snapped a photo of police giving aid to the victim in the road. Friends and family members arriving at the scene quickly left for the hospital, where police say the victim and shooter are in stable condition.
I heard like gunshots, and I thought there were fireworks.
The graphic scene unfolding in front of 9-year-old Omar Flores and his friend Sophia. They were playing at their apartment complex nearby when bullets began flying.
Crazy and scary, because it's my first time seeing this.
What caused the disturbance is still unclear, but video from a DART bus could help. It was brought back to the scene to see if cameras captured what happened. Witnesses shared what they saw too, the start of a lengthy investigation involving one of their own.
Police say they have recovered a weapon, but say they need to talk to more witnesses and collect more surveillance video before they can piece together the full story of what happened here. We're live tonight in Northeast Dallas. Meredith Yeomans, NBC5. Meredith, thank you. And Dallas police say the victim and the shooter are both expected to recover, as you heard there in Meredith's piece. The officer is okay.
A Mesa Airlines flight attendant and DACA recipient has been released from ICE custody tonight after 6 weeks in detention. Celine Saavedra Roman has lived in the U.S. since she was brought here from Peru illegally at the age of 3. She grew up in Texas, graduated from Texas A&M, and has legal protection under DACA. Saavedra was detained at George Bush International Airport in Houston on February 12 after she flew to Mexico for her job.
We're hoping that with this release that we will be able to continue with seeking her residency and finally get her lawful permanent residency so that she can go back to doing the type of work that she wanted to do, which was be a flight attendant and travel.
Saavedra's husband, who is a U.S. citizen, had been petitioning for weeks for her release. He picked her up from the detention facility north of Houston tonight. Last year, President Trump announced a plan to end DACA, but in August, a federal judge ruled the program can continue at least for now.
Coming up, record breaker. Meet the North Texas teenager who's about to make history in higher education.
This evening, the big severe weather threat has been out in West Texas. We'll see storms here, though. I'll have details on when you can expect a wet weekend.
Then water everywhere. The sudden flood in Fort Worth. And the update neighbors have been waiting to hear.
And viral video outrage. Calls for action on the rise after a man's brutal assault on a woman in Dallas.